episode of Anonymous Stories with Unjamola, a safe space conversation where we talk about real life issues people are going through. Thank you for those that joined the previous section. And today we have another interesting one to look at. These stories are anonymous. It's actually sent by one of us, and we are here to give our godly wisdom and advice to her. The title is She Sacrificed Everything for Her Husband. Now she discovered his secret. What should she do? What should she do? If you are just joining, please, I would like to know where you're watching from, and I welcome you. Thank you for joining me on this platform. So today's anonymous is what I just read earlier, and I actually need your honest opinion about it. Someone sent it, and the person will always remain anonymous. So from time to time, please feel free to send in your stories, your anonymous stories, things that you really want clarification on, things you want people to actually advise you on, be it male, be just send in your stories. And on this platform, we talk about them from time to time, and you get to hear different views and advice that you can work with. So I'm going to read a story, and I want us to look at it together. Put yourself in a position. What will you do? Put yourself in a position. How will you react? What is the next action she should take? This could be your sister. This could be your nephew, your niece. This could be someone close to you, a friend, a sister, a brother, a neighbor, your enemy also. It could be anybody. So please, I would love us to be nice in our comments, because she's also here ready to listen to our comments and the way we can actually put our through on this issue to know the way forward. So I'll just go straight to the point. Okay, I'll read from here just as she sent it. I've been married for 8 years, and when I met my husband, we didn't have much. We struggled together. When we got married, we rented a small apartment. There were times when money was so tight that we had to choose which bills to pay first. But I believed in him. My husband wanted to start a business, and I supported him. I used my savings. I sold some of my jewelry. There were things I wanted for myself that I didn't buy, because I believe we were building something together. Whenever people ask me why I was sacrificing so much, I always said, we are building together. And that is how it should be for a couple, for husband and wife, building together, doing things together. So eventually, his business became successful. Things changed. We moved into a bigger house, we bought a car, life became more comfortable. And honestly, I was happy because I felt like all the sacrifices we made together had finally paid off. But sometime last year, I noticed my husband started changing. His phone became very important to him. He changed his password. Whenever I walked into the room while he was texting, he would turn the phone away. Sometimes he would step outside to answer calls. Whenever I asked him what was going on, he would say it was business. I didn't want to be a suspicious wife. I kept telling myself that this was the man I had struggled with. I trusted him. Then one night, he came home very late. He said he had been in a business meeting. While he was on the shower, his phone rang. I didn't go through his phone, but I saw the message that came in. It said, "You promised you would tell her the truth this month." I couldn't understand what it meant. When he came out of the bathroom, I asked him, "What did you promise someone you would tell me?" He looked at me, took his phone and walked away. He didn't answer me. That was when I knew something was wrong. 2 days later, I received a phone call from a woman I didn't know. She said, "Madam, I think you deserve to know what your husband has been doing." I asked her what she meant. She said, "Your husband has another house." So let's stop here. And this is the question I'm throwing hope on here. If you were the woman who sent the story to me, what will you do at this point? Someone called her and told her that your husband has another house. What should be her response? Or if you were to be in her shoes, what would be your response? If you were the woman who sent the story, what will you do at this point? What will you do? Will you confront your husband immediately? Would you call the woman back? Or will you investigate quietly before confronting him? I would love to read your comments on this before we continue with the story. I want to hear your honest opinion. Let's advise her together. So if you were to be the woman, if you were to be the anonymous that sent the story, would you confront your husband immediately? Will you call the woman back? Will you investigate quietly before confronting him? So at this point, what will your response be? I would love to read your comments on this. Please send in your comments. Send in your comments. I would love to read your comments before we continue, before we go further. So please let me see your comments. I would love to read your comments so that others too can pick one or two things from it. I would love to read your comments. But personally, I would want to know exactly what she's dealing with before making a major decision here, also. Because right now she has information, but she doesn't have the full picture of what is actually going on. She has bits of information, but the true picture of what is actually going on, she doesn't know it. So, what will you advise her? And so I would love to read your comments. If you can hear me, if you have been following through the story, I would love to, read your comments on this before we continue. So I believe the comments are still coming in. So let's just continue. So I called the woman back. This is the anonymous now. I called the woman back. I asked her who she was and how she knew my husband. She told me her name was BC. I asked her directly, are you the woman my husband is seeing? She said no. Then she told me something that confused me even more. She said, I'm the woman who lives in the house your husband rented for another family. Wow. I didn't understand. I asked her what she meant by another family. She said there was a woman and a child living there. She gave me the address. The next morning, of course, trust me now, she went there. When I arrived, I saw a beautiful house. There were children outside. There were children's shoes outside. There were toys inside. Then I saw a photograph. My husband was standing beside another woman, and beside them was a little boy. I asked BC, who was the boy? Who the boy was, yes. I asked BC who the boy was. She said, that's your husband's son. Imagine receiving that information about your own husband that you've been married to for a long time, for how many years? Receiving such information. So she said that she went home without confronting him. That evening, when my husband came home, everything looked normal. He kissed me, he asked about my day. We ate dinner, and I kept speaking at him and wondering how someone could sit across from you and act completely normal when I did something this big. Finally, I asked him, do you have another child? He stopped. He didn't ask me what I meant. He simply said yes. Yes. I couldn't believe it. I asked him how long he had known. He said the child was born before we met. I asked him why he never told me. He said, I was afraid you would leave me. So I told him, you were afraid I would leave you. So you allowed me to marry without knowing the truth. Knowing the truth. You allowed me to marry without knowing the truth about your past. So, do you think the wife has a right to be angry that her husband has a child from a previous relationship? The child is actually innocent, you know that. But that's not what we are discussing here. The question is, should he have told his wife before they got married? Or is hiding a child from your spouse something you can forgive? Is hiding a child from your spouse something you can forgive? Is Should he have told his wife before they actually got married? But there's another part of our message that I want to read. So let's just continue. So she said, I thought that was the end of the secret, but it wasn't. I asked him another. So you haven't told me He didn't answer. I couldn't just figure out what it was. Finally, he told me that the business we had built together was registered only in his name. I couldn't believe it. I reminded him that I had used my savings to help him start that business. I sold my jewelry, I sacrificed for that business. Whenever we talked about it, I called it our business. But he had registered everything in his own name, only his name. I asked him why. He said he never thought it was a big deal. Ooh, he never thought it was a big deal. Really? Okay, but to me, it was actually a big deal. Something we built together. You sold your jewelry, you didn't have savings because of it, and someone out there used his own name, only his name. So she said, I wasn't angry because he had the child. I wasn't angry because he wanted to take care of the child. I was angry because I had spent years believing that we were building our life together while my husband was making major decisions about our marriage without me. And I asked him, is the woman in that house your former girlfriend? He said, yes. I asked him if he was still involved with her. He said, no. But I don't know if I should believe him anymore. Now I'm confused. I still love my husband. I don't want to punish a child for something he didn't do, but I feel betrayed. I feel like the entire marriage I thought I knew was built on secrets. Now, the question is, should I stay and try to rebuild this marriage, or should I leave? Should I stay and try to rebuild this marriage, or should I leave? That's the question. So I would love to read your honest opinion about this, and that is it. So I really want us to talk about this. Should she stay and rebuild the marriage, or she should leave? Because I can't just imagine. This is a whole lot for the woman. This is a whole lot. If you were her, would you stay? If you were her, would you stay? And what advice will you give her? She's actually watching us. She's also here. So I'd love to read your opinion, your comments. Please be respectful. Please be respectful. If you were her, would you stay or would you leave? Will you be able to forgive the hidden child? Would the business issue make you feel differently? So these are the questions we really need to talk about. If you were her, would you stay? Will you advise her to stay and rebuild the marriage and see how things unfold from there? Or would you forgive the hidden child? Would the business issue make you feel differently? Can you rebuild trust with someone who has hidden major things from you for years? Would you, can you rebuild trust with someone who has hidden major things from you for years? Would you will you be able to rebuild trust with someone that's hidden things from you for years? And do you think a husband is wrong for having a child before the marriage, or is it wrong for hiding it? These are our conversations for tonight. So I'd love to read your comments. What will you advise her? What will you tell her to do? Let me give my own perspective, especially from a godly point of view. First, I don't believe we should condemn the woman for being hurt or for feeling hurt. We shouldn't condemn her for feeling hurt. It's actually normal. If you were to be in her shoes, you'll also feel hurt. You'll feel disappointed. You'll feel used. So I wouldn't want to condemn her for feeling hurt. But her husband having a child before their marriage is not the same. she's actually dealing with. It could happen to anyone. Having a child before marriage, well, some people deal with that in their marriages. It's okay, but there has to be transparency. All these things should have been talked about and disclosed even before the marriage. The issue here is deception. Marriage needs trust. Marriage needs trust. And marriage needs communication. Communication is key. These are major things you shouldn't hide from your spouse. You say you love me and you're hiding something that's big. This is a major thing. And you're hiding it from me and you claim you love me and you say you love me. It shouldn't be. Marriage needs communication. You said you're afraid that she will leave you. If someone wants to leave you, the person will leave. If the person still feels like, well, it's not a big deal, I can still stay, the person will still stay. So you hiding something major, you hiding the truth from them doesn't make them stay and it doesn't make them leave. It depends on the individual involved, whether the person decides to stay or the person chooses to leave. So you can't withhold information or, you know, hide such major thing from your spouse because you don't want them to leave. That is deception and it's not good. Marriage needs trust. It needs trust. It needs transparency. So, if you have something important from your past that could affect the person you are about to marry, honesty matters. Honesty matters because now you've been married for how long, for how many years, but yet the truth still came out. So why not just tell it immediately, like say it before the marriage? The truth will always come out, directly or indirectly. It will always come out. There's no way, there's no how far or how well you think you can hide it, or how long you think you can hide it. One day, it will definitely come out. One day, the truth will be told. One day, what you're hiding will be seen. So there's no point. Just make it open. Be truthful about it. This is something that I know that will hurt your partner in the future. Communicate. Talk about it. So that's the way I see it. You don't allow someone to enter marriage without giving them the whole truth. Having a child is is not something to hide. It's not something to be secretive about. No, it's not something to be secretive about. It's not as if maybe okay, maybe someone that lost a child. That's different. You might decide not to disclose that. Well, in my previous relationship, I lost a child. Well, the child is no more. That's fine. But now you have a child and the child is alive, hale and hearty, and you decided not to disclose it to your spouse. That's wrong. Your spouse have the right to know and make their own decision. You can't decide for your partner alone because I'm telling you this, then you should do this, or you should act like this, or you should, react in a certain way. No, you can't decide for your partner. You allow them to go through it, to process it, and make their own decision. I also believe forgiveness is actually important here. Yeah, yes. We preach forgiveness, so it's actually important also. But forgiveness doesn't mean pretending nothing happened. Something happened. Something happened. We can't pretend it didn't happen. So even though forgiveness is going to play out here, something still happened. It doesn't mean trust comes back overnight. No, it will take time. Trust will take time to come back. It won't just happen overnight. Like you just close your eye and it's there. Because this is a how many years of deceit. So trust will take time to come back. It won't just come back overnight. That's one thing I want you to know. And forgiveness doesn't mean you cannot set boundaries at all. If she chooses to stay, I believe there has to be complete transparency going forward. No more hidden accounts, no more hidden relationships, no more secret decisions. And if they cannot have their conversations alone, they should seek godly marriage counseling. And to everyone listening tonight, Learn this. Don't wait until your secret is discovered before you become truthful. Let this be our take home tonight. Don't wait until your secret is discovered before you become truthful. The truth may hurt for a moment, but deception can wound a relationship for years. Deception is worse. It can wound a relationship for years. Some persons don't even recover from deception, and it's not their fault because the way we handle issues are actually different. The way I will handle something in my situation, in a situation, it's different from the way a friend, a neighbor, a colleague will handle it. We are different. There's limit to what we can take. There's limit to what we can absorb. There's limit to what we can deal with. So we have our differences. Because this person handled it this way or in a certain way doesn't mean it should be generalized. It should be the same way Sister B should also handle it. We are different. If she chooses to stay, it's a choice. If she feels well, I can still work it out. We can still work it out. It's a choice. So things like this are not meant to be kept secret because one day, it will still come out to the open. So that's it. So if this woman were sitting here with us tonight, and I believe she's also listening, I will tell her, don't make a major decision while you are overwhelmed with anger and pain. Take your time, pray about it, ask questions, find out the whole truth, and then decide what you are willing and able to forgive. And if you decide to stay, don't stay simply because you are afraid of starting over. Stay because there is genuine repentance, accountability, transparency, and a willingness from both of you to actually rebuild. Because love can bring two people together, but it's the truth and trust that makes a relationship safe. Truth and trust makes a relationship safe. Love can bring two people together, but trust and truth makes a relationship safe. And sometimes the question isn't, does he love me? The question is, can I trust him with my future? Can I do this again? Can I trust him again? Can I go through this path again? Can I continue? So that's all for tonight. And please, I would love to read your comments. Even though we'll be going offline for now, please keep on sending your comments, your godly wisdom, what you advise her, or you've been in her shoes. What do you think is actually next? What should she do? And thank you for joining me tonight on Anonymous Stories with Oyinmix. So please, I would love for you to keep sending in your stories, and on platforms like this, from time to time, we come out and talk about it and give our 2 cents because people are going through a lot of issues in their homes, in their marriages, in their relationships, you know, generally. So please, on these platforms, we come and we, we read such anonymous stories because some persons, they can't even tell it out. They can't tell their friend, they can't tell their father, they can't tell their mother, they can't tell their sister, they can't tell their brother, they can't tell their colleague. So they come up with stories like this and on a platform like this and to bring it up so that we can actually advise them. Some are dying in silence. But on this platform, we are here to actually, bring out such stories, such life happenings, and we talk about it. We give her our godly wisdom, our 2 cents that she can actually fall back on and she'll be fine. So before I leave, I want to ask this in the comments. Would you stay or leave if you were in her shoes? Will you stay or leave if you were in her shoes? Until next time, Take care of yourself, take care of your relationship, and above all, truth. Let truth, wisdom, and let God guide your decisions. All right. Bye for now. Remain blessed.